The transmission began without warning, cutting through every frequency across the galaxy. The screen displayed nothing but shadowy figures seated in a semicircle, their faces hidden by a hazy distortion. The voice that spoke was modulated, cold, and mechanical. The Galactic Council convenes to address the gravest transgression committed by the species known as humanity. In defiance of the supreme intergalactic peace mandate, these children, a view of trembling, wide-eyed Earthborn children bound to cold metallic chairs appeared, are guilty of harboring the violent tendencies inherent to their kind. For the safety of the galaxy, their punishment is death. The scene changed to show a chamber of gleaming silver, sterile and lifeless. The children, some no older than 10, sat in a row, their tear-streaked faces a mixture of terror and confusion. One boy tried to scream, but no sound came. Their voices had been silenced. The camera zoomed out, revealing alien guards standing sentinel with a motionless precision, their weapons gleaming under harsh lights. Across Earth, humanity watched in frozen disbelief. In family homes, on crowded streets, in bustling markets, everything stopped. Parents held their children tightly, some sobbing uncontrollably. Others stared in mute rage. World leaders in secret bunkers watched the broadcast with grim faces, their hands clenched into fists. No one dared speak. The Council's faceless authority held the galaxy in an iron grip. But Earth was unlike the others. The rage simmered, growing hotter with each passing second. This wasn't just an act of barbarism. It was a declaration of war. "We are not powerless," someone whispered in the shadows of a high-security war room buried beneath Earth's surface. Around the table sat military commanders, intelligence chiefs, and political leaders, their faces lit by the glow of the transmission. The words hung heavy in the air before one figure leaned forward, speaking with steely resolve. "Deploy the operative." The broadcast continued, unaffected by the outrage it was igniting. The voice listed fabricated charges: aggression, subversion, and rebellion. Humanity's so-called recklessness was a danger, it claimed, one that needed to be eradicated early. Somewhere, on another planet within the Galactic Union, a family of insectoid beings huddled together, their antennae twitching nervously as they watched the broadcast. On a distant moon, an amphibious alien lowered its eyes, too frightened to speak out against the Council's cruelty. On every world, fear silenced dissent. Fear had kept the Council in power for centuries. But humanity wasn't silent. In underground resistance bunkers, groups were already rallying, shouting in defiance. Across Earth, people swore vengeance. And far away, aboard a cloaked stealth ship that moved through the void like a ghost, a single figure prepared for war. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving only silence in its wake. The Council had made their message clear, but Earth's answer was already in motion. The operative had been deployed. Shadow adjusted the clasps on the matte black suit, the fabric seamlessly molding to their form. The dimly lit briefing room was silent except for the hum of machinery. The operative's face was expressionless, eyes fixed on the hollow display projecting a three-dimensional schematic of the Galactic Council's fortress. "The children's holding area is here," said the intelligence officer, pointing to a chamber deep within the structure. "You'll have to bypass 3 levels of security, including biometric scans and thermal field detectors. Non-lethal force is advised until extraction is complete. Our priority is the children." Shadow nodded without a word, their focus already on the mission. Years of training had prepared them for this moment: rigorous physical conditioning, advanced stealth tactics, and psychological endurance designed for the impossible. They were humanity's most finely honed weapon, but beneath the cold precision, a spark of something human lingered. They had seen the broadcast. The children's faces were etched into their memory, fueling a quiet, burning resolve. Shadow wasn't just carrying out orders. This mission was personal. Humanity's defiance rested on their shoulders, and failure wasn't an option. The operative inspected their equipment: a compact EMP disruptor, a neural hacking module, and a prototype stealth suit capable of bending light to render them nearly invisible. A small, AI-enhanced tactical assistant clipped to their wrist would guide them through the fortress, relaying real-time data and countering the Council's security systems. Your insertion point is at the fortress's lower maintenance bay, the officer continued. Minimal patrols, but the automated defenses will be active. Your window is tight, 12 hours before the Council's scheduled execution. Shadow turned to the commander. What about the extraction route? Once you secure the children, use the beacon to signal the retrieval ship. We'll have a cloaked transport waiting just outside the planetary defense perimeter. There were no guarantees. The fortress was a stronghold built to withstand planetary sieges, guarded by elite forces from dozens of alien species. Shadow's mission was suicide by every measure, but they didn't hesitate. The ship, silent and cloaked, slipped through the void like a shadow in the night. Shadow sat alone in the cockpit, eyes scanning the starry expanse. The AI assistant chimed softly. Final approach. Hostile detection radius, 3 kilometers. Initiating stealth protocols. The fortress loomed ahead, a monolithic structure floating in the orbit of an uninhabited planet. Its design was cold and utilitarian, every angle engineered for function over form. As the ship approached, Shadow's breathing slowed, their mind entering a state of razor-sharp focus. The insertion was flawless. Shadow moved like liquid, navigating the labyrinthine corridors with an uncanny blend of precision and instinct. Each step was calculated, each movement deliberate. When a patrol passed, the stealth suit shimmered, rendering them invisible to both sight and sensors. Inside their helmet, Shadow replayed the memory of the broadcast. The terror in the children's eyes, their helplessness. It fueled their resolve as they moved deeper into the fortress. Humanity had sent them to deliver a message, and Shadow was determined to make it clear. Shadow crouched in the shadows, overlooking the execution chamber. The children were seated in a row, their restraints glowing faintly with energy fields designed to immobilize even the strongest beings. Guards stood at every corner, their alien forms rigid with discipline. At the center of the room, a device loomed, a sleek, mechanical apparatus with an ominous array of needles and conduits, its purpose clear. The clock was ticking. The operative moved silently along a maintenance conduit, every step precise. Their AI assistant whispered updates in their ear, highlighting guard positions and potential vulnerabilities in the room's defenses. Shadow paused, scanning the chamber one last time. This wasn't just about speed. It was about precision. Any mistake would cost lives. With a flick of their wrist, Shadow activated the EMP disruptor. A silent pulse rippled through the chamber, and the lights flickered. The energy fields around the children dimmed, and the guards' communication devices sputtered with static. Shadow descended into the room, a blur of motion. The first guard didn't see the strike coming. Shadow's blade met its target with surgical accuracy, incapacitating without killing. The second turned, raising a weapon, but Shadow was faster, disarming them with a fluid motion. The others fell in rapid succession, each taken down before they could react. The children stared wide-eyed, still frozen in fear. "Stay quiet," Shadow said softly, their voice calm but firm. "I'm here to get you out." One of the older children, a girl with defiant eyes, whispered. They said no one was coming. Shadow glanced at her, their tone unwavering. They lied. The operative moved to the control console, fingers flying over the alien interface. Files scrolled across the screen, execution protocols, security overrides, and something unexpected. A folder labeled Operation Zenith. Shadow hesitated for a fraction of a second before opening it. The documents revealed a chilling plan. The Council wasn't executing the children out of fear of rebellion. They were conducting an experiment. The executions were a test to measure humanity's breaking point, a calculated effort to see how much pain and loss Earth could endure before it crumbled. The data would be used to suppress not just humanity, but any species that dared challenge the Council's authority. Shadow's jaw tightened. This wasn't just an act of cruelty. It was a declaration of control. The Council feared humanity's resilience, its refusal to bow. This wasn't about the children alone. It was about sending a message to every corner of the galaxy. The sound of approaching reinforcements snapped Shadow back to the present. The console's alarms blinked red, and the AI assistant warned of incoming patrols. The operative moved quickly, disabling the children's restraints and guiding them toward an exit route. "Stick close to me," Shadow instructed. "Do exactly as I say." The group moved through the corridors, every step fraught with tension. Shadow used diversions, a timed explosion here, a false heat signature there, to mislead the guards. The children followed silently, their fear tempered by the presence of their rescuer. As they neared the extraction point, an alien voice echoed through the fortress. "Intruder detected. All units, converge on Sector 5. Shadow activated their stealth suit's camouflage, blending into the dimly lit corridor. They turned to the children. "No matter what happens, keep moving. Don't stop." The children nodded, their expressions resolute despite their terror. Shadow led them onward, their mind racing. The mission wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about exposing the truth. Humanity's defiance would not go unnoticed, and the Council's grip on the galaxy would begin to loosen. The children huddled together inside the cloaked extraction vessel, their faces pale but safe. Shadow stood at the ship's console, their hands flying over the controls. The AI assistant blinked to life, displaying the encrypted files retrieved from the Council's systems. Shadow's voice was sharp, calm, and deliberate. "Begin transmission. Target all Galactic Union channels." The assistant hesitated. "This will alert every hostile faction within range." "That's the point," Shadow replied. The ship's communication array pulsed, hijacking frequencies across the galaxy. The same faceless distortion the Council had used now flickered onto screens across countless worlds. The broadcast began with the children silent, fearful, but alive. Their presence was undeniable proof of the Council's failure. The camera panned to Shadow, their face obscured by the stealth suit's helmet. Their voice altered to match the Council's chilling tone. "This is a message to the oppressed, to the fearful, to those who've been silenced. The Galactic Council claims to protect peace, but in truth, they fear resistance. They fear what they cannot control. They fear us." The image shifted to the files Shadow had uncovered. Lines of data scrolled across the screen, detailing Operation Zenith, the Council's calculated plan to break humanity. Evidence of secret experiments, mass surveillance, and genocidal strategies filled the feed. Entire planets saw the truth laid bare. They sought to make an example of us, to show the galaxy that defiance would be met with destruction. Instead, they have shown their weakness, their desperation, and now we stand together, unbroken, on alien worlds across the Union. The broadcast was met with a mixture of shock and hope. Insectoid beings whispered to each other in defiance. Amphibious creatures raised their heads, their eyes glinting with renewed determination. The Council's image of unassailable power had cracked, and the fractures were spreading. Back on Earth, humanity erupted in a unified roar. In homes, streets, and underground bunkers, people cheered, cried, and embraced. The children's survival was more than a victory. It was proof that the Council's tyranny could be challenged. The broadcast continued, shifting to show the Galactic Council's shadowy chamber. Shadow's voice grew sharper, every word cutting through the veneer of their authority. "To the Council, you thought you could silence us. You thought you could break us. But humanity does not bow. We do not cower. And we will not forget." The feed cut abruptly, leaving silence in its wake. But the message had been delivered. Across the galaxy, oppressed species began to stir, their fear replaced by something more dangerous: hope. Shadow turned away from the console, watching as the Earth's atmosphere came into view through the cockpit window. Behind them, the children were safe, some whispering to each other, their spirits slowly returning. As the extraction vessel landed on Earth, Shadow disembarked first, the children following close behind. A crowd had gathered, soldiers, medics, parents, all waiting with bated breath. The children ran into the arms of their families, tears flowing freely. Shadow stood apart, watching the scene unfold. For a moment, the weight of the mission lifted, But they knew this was only the beginning. The Council would retaliate, and the fight ahead would be even more brutal. A figure approached, one of Earth's leaders, their expression a mixture of gratitude and determination. You did more than save those children. You gave the galaxy something to believe in. Shadow's reply was quiet but firm. Let's make sure they remember it,